It was once one of the two courthouses in Bennington County where legal issues and lawsuits were hashed out. But today the building on the corner of Union Street and Main Street in Manchester Village, across the street from the Equinox Resort, sits quietly and used mainly for meetings of village officials. Possible new uses for the historic building are being explored by a committee of residents. Everything is on the table at the moment, including selling the building to a private entity. The chairwoman of the committee, Cynthia Kilburn, explains.
They now own the building and they need to find a use for it that serves the community, is hopefully self-maintaining financially. You know, we're not looking to make money off it, but we're hoping that the multiple uses can help support the building. And with any luck, we can do some kind of renovations to take it back how it was. We've got drop ceilings, things that were put in the 70s that we would like to go back to, some of the plaster ceilings and whatnot, and we don't know what's underneath some of this. We have a lot of false walls here because little offices were built over a period of time. So, you know, it's a question of seeing what we really have and figuring out the best use for it while preserving this incredible treasure. Obviously, heating a very old building costs a lot of money. So, we have a lot of homework ahead of us to figure out what is involved and what the best uses might be down the road. You know, what grants are available to help with the process. All kinds of businesses and people might be interested in it, but then we have the preservation aspect of not wanting to really lose this incredible treasure. That, in fact, one of the historical people on the committee said that this is one of only 2 gold domes in the state. The other one is on the State House. And so there's something to protect there. It's part of our history. It's part of our heritage for the town.
The courthouse has a long and fascinating history. The site where it sits used to be a graveyard. Sean Harrington of the Manchester Historical Society tells us more.
In 1781, the original courthouse was built right there. It's about the center of where Equinox Jr. is. In the 1820s, they decided they wanted to rebuild a new county courthouse. This is where the cemetery was. The cemetery was in disrepair. It was used as a parade ground, so they disinterred most of the bodies, brought them down to the old burying grounds in Delwood, and started construction on the new courthouse. It was built by public subscription, So things went along just grand until the early 1900s, when the county tried to throw the town clerk out, the village clerk. And the clerk said, well, we own this building. So, long story short, it goes all the way to the Supreme Court. The county did not own the building, nor the land. And the agreement they came up with was that the county could use the courthouse for the business of the courts until such time it was no longer needed. So in the last few years, because Bennington is a 2-shire county, there's the Bennington Courthouse and then Manchester Courthouse, and they used this in the summer. Bennington was where the winter sessions were held, but in the last few years they haven't been using this. So they're at the point now where the side judges have decided they are ready to vacate the property, in which case it reverts back to the town of Manchester. What's nice about this courthouse is actually it was fallen into a fair amount of disrepair in the mid-1990s. Now, there was a gentleman named Reynold Anselmo who was from Greenwich, Connecticut. He was a World War II Marine. He actually was part of Televisa and helped fund Pan Am Sat. And he would travel around the globe and he would see buildings in disrepair and he would pay for them to be rehabilitated. He was staying at the Equinox, apparently up in one of those cupolas, looked across and saw the dome was in terrible shape in the exterior, called the court, told them he would pay for he would, through his agent actually, would pay for the entire rehabilitation of the building, but he didn't want his name attached to it. So it took them a couple of years to find out if he was legit, and Peter Palmer from Historical Projects took lead on it. And I talked to Peter about that, and he did exactly what he said. He wanted to pay for its rehabilitation, spare no expense, best of the best. I mean, they even had a father and son team come up and work for several weeks when they pulled the entire dome off, brought it down to Hildene, and the father and son team regilded the entire dome in gold. And I think they raised the dome back in May of 1995. And The next phase of the process was going to be they were going to do the interior, and he passed away, so it never happened. He didn't want his name anywhere, any kind of public accolades, but there is a plaque inside the door.
The committee will be continuing to meet and determine costs for maintaining the building, and also discussing possible uses for it. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.